Number 10, the Taos hum. In the small town of Taos, New Mexico, there is a certain buzz often heard on the horizon that can be compared to the sound of a distant diesel engine. Although it can be heard by the naked ear, various sound detection devices are not able to pick it up. This is known as the Taos hum, and up to this day, no one still knows how this sound is being created. Number 9, Voynich manuscript. The Voynich manuscript is an illustrated codex handwritten in an unknown writing system. The vellum on which it is written has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, 1404 to 1438, and it may have been composed in northern Italy during the Italian Renaissance. The manuscript is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer who purchased it in 1912. Some of the pages are missing, with around 240 remaining. The text is written from left to right, and most of the pages have illustrations or diagrams. Some pages are foldable sheets. The Voynich manuscript has been studied by many professional and amateur cryptographers, including American and British codebreakers from both World War I and World War II. No one has yet succeeded in deciphering the text, and it has become a famous case in the history of cryptography. The mystery of the meaning and origin of the manuscript has excited the popular imagination, making the manuscript the subject of novels and speculation. None of the many hypotheses proposed over the last 100 years has yet been independently verified. In 1969, the Voynich manuscript was donated by Hans Krause to Yale University's Bank Rare Book and Manuscript Library, where it is catalogued under call number MS408. Number 8, Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle, is a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Most reputable sources dismiss the idea that there is any mystery. The vicinity of the Bermuda Triangle is one of the most heavily traveled shipping lanes in the world, with ships frequently crossing through it for ports in the Americas, Europe, and the Caribbean islands. Cruise ships and pleasure craft regularly sail through the region, and commercial and private aircraft routinely fly over it. Popular culture has attributed various disappearances to the paranormal or activity by extraterrestrial beings. Documented evidence indicates that a significant percentage of the incidents were spurious, inaccurately reported, or embellished by later authors. Number 7. Shepherd's Monument inscription. In Staffordshire, England, there is a sculpture that has invited the wits and intellect of many intellectuals in an attempt to decode an inscription reading Das Vav. Although the Shepherd's Monument was constructed back in the 18th century, the letters found therein were never solved, even 250 years after it was completed. Number 6, Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones is a granite monument erected in 1980 in Elbert County, Georgia, in the United States. A set of 10 guidelines is inscribed on the structure in 8 modern languages, and a shorter message is inscribed at the top of the structure in 4 ancient language scripts: Babylonian, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. The monument stands at the highest point in Elbert County, about 90 miles, 140 kilometers, east of Atlanta, 45 miles, 72 kilometers, from Athens, and 9 miles, 14 kilometers, north of the center of Elberton. One slab stands in the center, with 4 arranged around it. A capstone lies on top of the 5 slabs, which are astronomically aligned. An additional stone tablet, which is set in the ground a short distance to the west of the structure, provides some notes on the history and purpose of the Guidestones. The structure is sometimes referred to as an American Stonehenge. The monument is 19 feet 3 inches, 5.87 meters, tall, made from the 6 granite slabs weighing 237,746 pounds, 107,840 kilograms, in all. The designer and meaning of the Guidestones are unknown. leading to speculation and conspiracy theory. Number 5, Rong-Orongo. Rong-Orongo is a system of glyphs discovered in the 19th century on Easter Island that appears to be writing or proto-writing. Numerous attempts at decipherment have been made, none successfully. Although some calendrical and what might prove to be genealogical information has been identified, none of these glyphs can actually be read. If Rong-Orongo does prove to be writing and proves to be an independent invention, it would be one of very few independent inventions of writing in human history. 24 objects bearing Rong-Orongo inscriptions, some heavily weathered, burned, or otherwise damaged, were collected in the late 19th century and are now scattered in museums and private collections. None remain on Easter Island. The objects are mostly tablets shaped from irregular pieces of wood, sometimes driftwood, but include a chieftain's staff, a birdman statuette, and 2 Ramiro ornaments. There are also a few petroglyphs which may include short Rong-Orongo inscriptions. Oral history suggests that only a small elite was ever literate and that the tablets were sacred. Authentic Rong-Orongo texts are written in alternating directions, a system called reverse boustrophedon. In a third of the tablets, the lines of text are inscribed in shallow fluting carved into the wood. The glyphs themselves are outlines of human, animal, plant, artifact and geometric forms. Many of the human and animal figures, such as glyphs 200, glyph 200 and 280, glyph 280, have characteristic protuberances on each side of the head, possibly representing eyes. Number 4, Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a prehistoric monument in Wiltshire, England, 2 miles, 3 kilometers, west of Amesbury and 8 miles, 13 kilometers, north of Salisbury. It consists of a ring of standing stones, with each standing stone around 4.1 meters, 13 feet, high, 2.1 meters, 6 feet 11 in, wide and weighing around 25 tons. The stones are set within earthworks in the middle of the most dense complex of Neolithic and Bronze Age monuments in England, including several hundred burial mounds. Archaeologists believe it was constructed from 3000 BC to 2000 BC. The surrounding circular earth bank and ditch, which constitute the earliest phase of the monument, have been dated to about 3100 BC. Radiocarbon dating suggests that the first bluestones were raised between 2400 and 2200 BC, although they may have been at the site as early as 3000 BC. One of the most famous landmarks in the UK, Stonehenge is regarded as a British cultural icon. It has been a legally protected scheduled ancient monument since 1882 when legislation to protect historic monuments was first successfully introduced in Britain. The site and its surroundings were added to UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites in 1986. Stonehenge is owned by the Crown and managed by English Heritage. The surrounding land is owned by the National Trust. Stonehenge could have been a burial ground from its earliest beginnings. Deposits containing human bone date from as early as 3000 BC, when the ditch and bank were first dug, and continued for at least another 500 years. Number 3, Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin or Turin shroud is a length of linen cloth bearing the image of a man who is alleged to be Jesus of Nazareth. The cloth itself is believed by some to be the burial shroud he was wrapped in when he was buried after crucifixion, although 3 radiocarbon dating tests in 1988 dated a sample of the cloth to the Middle Ages. The shroud is kept in the Royal Chapel of the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, northern Italy. The Catholic Church has neither formally endorsed nor rejected the shroud, but in 1958 Pope Pius XII approved of the image in association with the devotion to the Holy Face of Jesus. Pope John Paul II called the shroud a mirror of the Gospel. The origins of the shroud and its images are the subject of intense debate among theologians, historians and researchers. Diverse arguments have been made in scientific and popular publications claiming to prove that the cloth is the authentic burial shroud of Jesus, based on disciplines ranging from chemistry to biology and medical forensics to optical image analysis. In 1988, a radiocarbon dating test dated a corner piece of the shroud from the Middle Ages, between the years 1260 and 1390. Which is consistent with the shroud's first known exhibition in France in 1357. Articles published from 2000 to 2015 have highlighted concerns about this dating, and aspects of the 1988 test continue to be debated in some circles, but meaningful challenges to the dating result have so far been unsuccessful. According to Christopher Ramsey of the Oxford Radiocarbon Accelerator Unit in 2011, there are various hypotheses as to why the dates might not be correct, but none of them stack up. Number 2. The Lost City of Atlantis. The city of Atlantis has been imagined as the crowning city of Neptune, where mermaids and mermen live. But based on what Plato has discussed during his time, specifically with his two dialogues Timaeus and Critias, it specifically mentioned the existence of Atlantis based on the stories being heard during the journeys, and how Atlantis was in its prime state, thus giving a clue that the place did exist as Plato was a real entity. Now that it's sunk into the deep, many are still wondering if it is real, knowing that there are certain objects underwater that may be the remnants of this once beautiful city. Number 1, Wow Signal. When Jerry R. Emmon worked under the SETI project of the Ohio Wesleyan University's Perkins Observatory, he did not expect that he would be able to pick up a radio frequency supposedly coming from deep space. He was able to get a 72-second signal from the constellation Sagittarius and was never able to get it again. Up to this day no one is sure about the origin of the signal. It derived its name, however, from the wow that Jerry wrote in the margin of the printout.